It's HPR1, All Things Considered, and I'm Dave Lawrence. Today we're welcoming an unusual guest. Sure, he's unusual because the hard-rocking band he sings for has sold over 100 million albums around the world, making them one of the more internationally successful rock acts. But he's also unusual for the longevity of his gig. Imagine it, he's been singing with this one band, working at this one job, so to speak, consistently since 1970. Try to track your own employment history since then as we welcome the voice of the Scorpions, Klaus Meine. Aloha, Klaus.
Hello, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for asking. Yourself?
All right. You're calling from Honolulu?
I am calling from Honolulu, in fact.
It's amazing. It's an amazing connection. So this is a radio station in Honolulu, and so I hope we have a chance to come back to Honolulu and play a show. It's been a long, long time.
That would be great. I'm sure people would really appreciate getting to see you again.
It would be fantastic if we had a chance to come back to Hawaii.
What are your memories of playing Hawaii?
We played there, I think it was back in the 80s in Honolulu. We played a concert there. We stayed for some extra days. I think we went to Maui. What a beautiful island. Wonderful time there. And we were on the way to Japan. And it's a wonderful memory, but we miss the vibe. People are so friendly. We felt really welcome when we arrived in Honolulu, and they put the flowers around your neck and the whole thing, the vibe and the smell, all the flowers. It's beautiful. It's in the air, and the colors are just amazing.
You always had a strong connection early on with Asia, too.
Yeah.
What was it that got you in the beginning, Klaus, to want to start singing? Who was it who recognized the talent in you that you had this?
Well, I think that was pretty much like a family affair for Christmas or birthdays with the family, with your parents, with your grandma, and that's sometime at night. I might have been 6, 7 years old maybe. It was, oh, come on, Klaus, sing Ave Maria for us, And little Klaus jumped up on a chair, and was my little stage, and performed something like Ave Maria. And then you get some feedback, and I think I was not 10 years old, and I knew I wanted to be a singer in my life. That was what I wanted to do.
You have a great reference point in terms of the content that you were singing. How did the rock arrive? What were the earliest influences taking you from Ave Maria to contemporary?
I mean, in the early 60s, my teenager years, and was 15, 16, I think it was when the Beatles, the Stones, the Who, all these great British bands came over the world like a rock and roll revolution. Between Ave Maria and the Beatles or Led Zeppelin, it was, of course, Elvis. I think Elvis had a great show in Honolulu back in the days as well, right?
Yeah, Aloha from Hawaii.
Yeah, correct. And so it was Elvis, it was Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis. They were definitely an early influence in talking about rock and roll. But then the early 60s, when I heard the Beatles for the very first time and the Stones, this is when I really was turned on to rock music, and it never left me up to today. Then during the 60s, I had my very first band, the Mushrooms, and the Scorpions started also in 65 with Rudolph, and we met each other, and I knew I had a soul brother there, and there was a guy who we shared the same vision.
The great Rudy Schenker, Michael's brother and longtime Scorpions songwriter and guitarist.
We had the same dreams, the same rock and roll dream, and in the late 60s, early 70s, I joined the Scorpions with Rudolph's brother Michael, and the rest is history, so to speak.
That partnership really is what has made a lot of bands last, but I guess in terms of your particular role as I introduced you, and I'm hoping you can reflect a little on the fact that if you step back, but just look at the craft that you do, and you do it under the brand, the Scorpions, how many people in your life, Klaus, can say they've been doing the same brand successfully since 1970? Is it humbling at all when you stop and think about the longevity of your employment with this opportunity?
Yeah, it is. Dave, it's not only the Scorpions. It's just a very few bands, like the Stones or Aerosmith. There are a few bands out there. They have this longevity as well. But it's a very few around the world, you're right. And I tell you, the best thing about being that long with a brand or being with a band, Rudolf Schenker, Matthias Jahr. Matthias is in the band since 78. Today it's the three of us, looking back on a really long, long career. But the best thing is, after all these years, that right now we still feel the same passion for the music and we still enjoy what we're doing. I think this is really like a miracle. We have our ups and downs, of course, over the years. And in a long career, sometimes you go through difficult times, like the 90s with alternative music, I guess, was a challenge for every classic rock band. But we survived the 90s and we were back. And there's a whole new audience. And today, every show we're doing, mostly in Europe or Eastern Europe, Russia or South America, it's a young audience, a mixed audience playing in front of three generations, which is wonderful. It's a little bit different in the United States because a little bit you're stuck in the 80s kind of format. I think we have a very loyal fan base in America, but in the rest of the world, it's also a young audience is coming to our shows, young kids in front of the stage and singing songs that were written before they were born. And it's very inspiring and motivating to see the average age is between 18 and 28 or something. That's pretty amazing. It shows that this kind of music is timeless.
It is timeless. It's also very international in a way that defies perhaps other bands there's a lot of bands, like you said, that have a certain degree of success, but there are peculiar traits about the Scorpions when you take a closer look at it. One of them is that international appeal that you have had, and focusing a little bit on some of those unusual gigs and anything that felt strongly, that maybe touched you deeply inside.
I think, Dave, it was very touching, the MTV Unplugged Under the Open Sky, the Lycabettos Amphitheater, the mountain in the city of Athens, and you could feel in the audience, it was just amazing. And playing in Israel, playing in the Middle East anyway, going to places like Cairo, where I played in front of the pyramids, to play in Lebanon, and play in Tel Aviv, of course. And when you see through the eyes of the person on stage, through the eyes of the artist, singing to audiences in all these countries, you see the emotions, and it's all the same. People react in the same way. They might be enemies in the real world and what you see in the news every night, but from the singer's point of view on a stage, they sing along with all their heart and soul, the same songs with the same passion, the same emotions, with the tears in their eyes. When we play a peace anthem like Wind of Change, you get the same feeling. And this is like an experience you go through where you can feel that music has such a strong positive power connecting people, and that's what the Scorpions also always try to build bridges between countries, cultures, and music is a very powerful tool, very positive tool to bring people together for a more peaceful world. And songs are a little like Wind of Change, even though it's a song about Moscow, I follow the Moskwa. The people feel it's about hope, hoping for a peaceful world, and that's very touching.
It's an international resonance is what you're saying about that song.
Yes.
It's great how you use so many other languages on stage, Klaus, going all the way back to Tokyo Tapes, the way that you would interact with the audience. Was it just something you did out of respect?
Yeah. I remember in Tokyo Tapes, it was the first time we went to Japan. I asked our Japanese fan club, so how about if I would sing a Japanese song with the Japanese fans, like something traditional, something like that. They had sent me a song called Kojo no Tsuki. It's about an old castle, the moon over the castle or something. And so I learned that song. I sang it in Tokyo. It ended up on Tokyo Tapes on that live album we did in 78 in Tokyo, Sun Plaza Hall. And that song became, even in Europe, it became popular. Nobody had understood what I was singing about, but they were singing along, just the melody, because it's such a beautiful melody. And I thought, this is cool. Here's a German band performing in France, singing a Japanese song, and the French audience is singing along, And that's truly like connecting the world, through music.
That's the story of the Scorpions right there, Klaus, in one summary.
Thank you.
I hope this interview kept you engaged. I'm genuinely grateful for your time, Klaus Meine, the Scorpions. I really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Enjoyed it.
Be safe, Klaus. Take care. Aloha.
All right, you too. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you. Aloha, this is Klaus Meine from the Scorpions. And you tuned in to Dave Lawrence on Hawaii Public Radio.